Alright, so I just finished up this custom figure yesterday. This is a commission piece I did for a close friend of mine. Usually with these custom figures, I don't really do videos for them if they're commissions. I just take the pretty pictures and send them on their way, but man, I spent like all day working on this guy yesterday, and I thought this is just too cool not to do a video of, so here we are now. That's Godzilla. So this is the SH Monsterarts Godzilla 2000 film accurate version. This was made as a private commission from a close friend of mine who really loves Godzilla 2000. That's his favorite Godzilla ever. Big fan. So everything had to be perfect on this one. And this was a lot of fun to do. A lot of fun sculpt work, a lot of fun paint work. And he seems pretty happy with how this turned out, and I am very happy with how this turned out. So this is a pretty straightforward custom figure to do, and it's one that a lot of Monsterarts collectors have either tried themselves or commissioned other artists to do themselves. And I followed suit with what a lot of others did. We used a base figure of Monsterarts Godzilla 2002, and the spines were transplanted off of a movie monster series, Godzilla 2000. If you're going to try one of these yourself, I do not recommend using the Toho Kaiju version, because the Toho Kaiju version is freakishly huge, and these spines will not fit on that teeny tiny petite little Monsterarts back. Actually, on the 2000 figure, I had to make a lot of adjustments to the spines. Had to carve off a lot of pieces, like, well, I just pulled them in half. I had to carve off certain pieces, like right here, and then resculpt a new spike in there so that they would fit. I also added in a few spines off of the Kiru Goji figure, just for the smaller ones, because I thought they had a nicer point to them than the vinyl, and did some rearranging around the tail. The 4 inner spines that run in between his rows were a little tricky to do, because they're supposed to kind of stagger and block the gap between these two spines, but that didn't work out so well just because of the way the articulation is cut on the figure. One alternative base body that a lot of people will often use when they make this custom is the NECA Godzilla 2003. We decided to go Monsterarts instead because it's just a better figure, better detailed, better scale, and the NECA looks like a big hot steaming pile of horse apples. Another thing that I see a lot of people do on their Godzilla 2000s that I opted not to do on this one was, when they do it, they will often follow suit with the spines for the head, and they will transplant the head off of the movie Monster series vinyl. And it looks okay if you do it on the NECA, just because this is such a fat, meaty head sculpt that kind of fits on that fat NECA neck. But on the Monsterarts body, no. I've seen probably about 3 or 4 Monsterarts versions of this that use the vinyl head, and all of them look terrible, absolutely terrible. They look weird and melon-headed and ugly, and it doesn't fit at all, and it overlaps. So what I did instead was I just sculpted the 2000 features over top of the Kiru Goji head sculpt, because all of the features of 2000, or most of them at least, are in Kiru Goji. They're just flatter and not as pronounced. So it was a pretty simple sculpt really on this guy. It was just a case of bulking out what needed to be bulked out, like all the jaw muscles and things. The cheeks were added, pointed his ears a little bit more, carved off the original brows off 2002 and sculpted new ones that were bigger, accentuated the spikes on his head, added some more spikes on the back of his neck, thickened out his jaw a little bit, and squared it off, and brought his lips out a little bit, and there you go. That's Godzilla 2000 right there, baby. And honestly, it was a lot easier than just transplanting the head and carving into the jaw and trying to make it work like a lot of other people do. So there you go. Turning the flash on and going into Facebook collector mode, we can see a lot more of the finer details of the paintwork I did on this. My client for this one wanted to go for more of a 1999 approach to Godzilla as opposed to the Megaguirus color scheme where they were a lot more saturated in the greens and the purples. And with the flash on, he definitely looks a lot more green, but in person it's a lot more subdued, and that's what we wanted, more subdued on the green, on the skin. Throw some navy blues in there, highlighting all of the deeper recesses of him. And more of a burgundy on the spines than a purple. Most people will go straight up purple on the spines. They will make it look really metallic and tacky and grape soda, Ribena, whatever. That wasn't what we wanted to do here. We wanted to do more of a burgundy. So there is purple in it, and there is a slight pearlescence to the paint, but nothing too crazy. It leans more on the red side than the purple. And to kind of try to trick the eye into thinking that the spines are more purple than they really are, the base coats of the spines are in that same navy blue that I used to highlight him throughout. And I feel like that just kind of tricks the eye at first glance. You see the more red of the burgundy, and you see that really dark navy blue, and you see them kind of mixing together in the dry brush work, and I feel like that kind of makes him look more purple. And the head, I also put some navy blue highlighting on the top of that. The eyes are the original Monsterarts Kiru Goji eyes. All I did was gloss them up a little bit more. I did repaint the teeth, and I also glossed up the inside of his mouth. And then there's a look at the nails. I'm really happy with how the nails came out on the claws and on the toes there. I did them in sort of a beige kind of color, and then I did a darker, more brownish orange wash around the bases of them and put some gloss on them. I think they look really lifelike and really cool looking. So this figure was a lot of fun to do. It really flew by. I got really stuck into it and just couldn't stop working on it. It was a lot less intimidating than I really thought it would be, and I think it turned out really nicely. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The customer's really happy, and I think he's gonna love it. Yeah, I still don't really know how to end these things.